What's up, guys, and welcome back to the DualSense podcast. This is episode 27. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm joined, as always, by Travis. Travis, we've been doing this for 6 months now. What do you think about that?
It's probably like my third longest relationship.
That's something to be proud of, for sure.
I guess so, but it's easily the one that's put out the least.
Well, we are the gift that keeps on giving. What else is good today?
Well, I've just been thinking about like old people. Like, do we need them?
They have a hard time, for sure.
So, do you remember? Did you read The Giver when you were in school?
I did not, but Candace did. I've seen the movie. I know the gist.
Well, at a certain point, the old people disappear. And
Yeah.
they take them off to a certain point because they're not useful anymore. I'm not saying that we should Holocaust them and put them in internment camps. I'm just saying that at a certain point, like, everything should be double checked. Like, they should have to take a driver's test every year, and they should have to like take a comprehension test every year. And if you score too low, you have to live with somebody.
Sure.
You should do a mobility test every year. All that stuff. It's just irritating how they can't understand. Some of them can barely read a sign, and then they get mad at you. It's ridiculous. Like, just we didn't have this problem before because everybody died at 60.
Right. Or they died in a world war.
Right. So I'm not saying we should kill them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we should find better ways of keeping them useful, or finding a better way of basically protecting them from themselves.
Yeah, it's for their own good.
Too much to ask.
Yeah, it's for their own good.
Plus, they're in my way. Mostly that they're in my way.
Typically at McDonald's or other fast food restaurant drive-thrus.
Right. I don't need you to count exact change, Mary. It's not 1962, okay? Just use your fucking card. Okay?
You know, maybe this is just an old Yeller situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I felt like Paul Rudd in Role Models when he's at the Starbucks with Elizabeth Banks. Have you seen that movie?
No, I have not.
Well, he goes in to get a coffee, and she's like, "What size do you want?" He's like, "A medium." And she's like, "We have venti, latte, yada, 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 yada." And he's like, "What the fuck is that?" He's like, "First of all, that's 3 different languages. One, it's a small, medium, or large lady. Venti's Italian. This is Spanish." He's just going on. That's what I felt like when I was behind her. Like, they don't need 2 fucking pennies, okay? Just give them your American Express card. Thank you for your service, ma'am.
Hey, man, there is a national coin shortage. She was just doing her part.
Okay,
just doing her part.
Good. She can go back to Lawrence County or wherever she was.
Well, Travis, for the uninitiated or the noobs here on the podcast, we are a weekly podcast where you and I get together to discuss all things PlayStation. Each and every week, we cover all the news, rumors, upcoming game releases, and much more. And we do it all in under 90 minutes. We post new episodes every Sunday. And if you would like to engage with us, you can do so on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. If you want to check out some of our game streams, which we've been doing a little bit more recently, or some highlight clips, you can do that on YouTube at the DualSense Podcast. And if you do enjoy the show, we would be much appreciative if you would subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Leave us a review, whether it's kind or harsh. But much more importantly, we would greatly appreciate it if you would share us with a friend who you believe may enjoy a PlayStation podcast such as this. And without further ado, let's get into what games we've been playing in the past week. Travis, you start.
I really like the title of the podcast.
Do you like that?
Yeah, it just registered.
CyberStunk 2020.
Classic. Okay. Yeah. So let's start off with I guess the bad. So I did my league race, my F2 race on Sunday, and I've told you about this already. But in the feature race, I qualified like 11th. I had to serve my quality band, qualified 11th. If you finish in the top 10, you get points. I ended up I was in fourth. I had a chance to pass a couple of guys for third, and I spun myself. And by that, I mean, like, I made contact with a guy, and then I got on the gas too soon. And
Hmm.
it just basically, I 180'd the car. If I wouldn't have made contact with him, I still would have gotten sideways. It's debatable if I would have saved it or not. But that guy, me and him ended up having an encounter later in the second race. But
Hmm.
that race, I finished eighth. Um, and in the first race, if you're 1 through 8, they reverse the grid, which meant I started on pole for the sprint race. So the first race you have to pit and change tires. The second race is just like, it's a sprint race. You go point A to point B. That's it. No pits, no gas, no nothing. So um, my strategy to stay in eighth in that race was what I was trying to do, because my the weird thing about me in these sim racing games is when I practice, I have a certain time. I'm always slower in the
Right.
qualifying. I don't know why, but then my race pace is always better than most of the people in the lobby. I always race really fast for some reason. So I don't really worry about qualifying as much, but if you're in the pole, I can control the pace from there. So that's always nice. So that's why I wanted to stay in eighth.
Yeah.
And point being is, like, I have to use strategy to be competitive because I'm not as quick as these guys. I don't practice as much as them. I have an actual job and then a business, and then we're doing this. Like, I don't have time to drive for 80 hours a week. So anyway,
Sure.
race two, I'll block into turn one because that turn one at the Red Bull Ring, people try to be heroes all the time. And I've seen you videos before of me getting just like sent into the wall at about 100 miles an hour where some guy just runs me over. So
Hmm.
a block, he didn't like that I blocked him and didn't give him room. And coming down the stretch into turn 2 and 3, there's a little kink, and there's not enough room there for a car, but he had put his wing there. And of course, I didn't move over because why would you put your wing in a spot? Like, even if I would have given him room, he would have ran off the road. And he clipped my tire and spun me out into the wall. So I sent him a
Nice.
message and asked him if he was a fucking retard. So anyway, so
Uh-huh.
we went back and forth, and the league, the league owner had to tell us to stop. But anyway,
Oh.
he got 2 penalty points, and I didn't get any. So who's wrong now? You dumb idiot. Anyway, point being, he's from
Man.
a different country, and what is a block in America is not a block wherever he's from.
Sure.
Um, you don't let people pass you. Like, this isn't, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't a socialist handout. Like, it's a fucking race. Like, if you're that much faster than me and you didn't get me in turn one, guess what? There's 7 laps and there's 20 turns on this track. You're
Yeah,
gonna have
we're
that many opportunities.
we're dumb proud Americans. We don't move
Right.
over for anybody. We don't
So
move over for anybody.
but anyway, whatever. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So
Yeah.
whatever. If push comes to shove and it's the end of a race, I might crash him again. Who knows? Um,
Don't put that out there because you don't want to have any
oh,
penalties.
oh, it'll be split. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It'll be obvious if I crash him. He'll know. And on GT Sport, let's see, I was a 4/10 off the world record this week for the manufacturer race, and I couldn't find any more time. Did the race, used my strategy, worked out great. I was in the lead on the last lap and ran out
Hmm.
of gas.
You did. You
Really
did run out of
embarrassing.
gas.
So
The
probably
most important thing, probably.
right. So it was like the most embarrassing thing I've ever done racing. And I knew it too. Like, when I hit the start finish line, it popped up and said, "You have less than a lap of fuel." And I was like, there's no way I can, at this, I'm too far down the river. Like, I can't manage my fuel enough to get back around. So if you
Yeah.
watch the video that's still up, I dropped the mix down, which what that means is you have less power, but you're also using less fuel. It changes the mixture of the fuel. Basically, you
Uh-huh.
take it from like octane to unleaded.
Yeah.
And I should have been saving the whole race, and I wasn't thinking about the fact that, like, when you're in the lead, you burn more fuel because you're not in the draft, so it's harder to save. I wasn't thinking about that.
Hmm.
Long story short, I didn't manage my fuel. I ran out of gas, and I ended up coming in sixth. And I saw some professional,
Coasted to sixth.
right? And I saw some professional guys the next day had the same issue where they basically did the same thing, where they got out in front and just forgot and ran out of gas. It made me feel a lot better about myself. These guys who actually, like, have followings and make money off of YouTube did the exact same
Yeah.
stupid thing that I did. That was hilarious. But
That's a lesson for next time.
right. So other than that, we played a little bit of Black Ops. We I think we're still playing pretty well. I think we had one night that was probably
Mhm.
average, but um, my KD steadily going up. I'm almost at 1.4 now in team death, and overall it's like 1.2. But like we said
Nice.
before, that's from where I just go crazy on domination. And
Yeah.
I don't know what we were playing, but we were at Nuketown playing something, and I had 60 kills.
You
I wiped
did.
out. I don't know what happened. But that was the
Yeah.
RPD, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So
By
I
the
was
way,
having fun with that.
I forgot to tell you, on the PlayStation Store, there's a free PS Plus bundle that comes with a legendary RPD blueprint, by the way.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I saw something on there yesterday that said I forgot to download it. Okay, I'll check that out later. But we had a
Yeah. What
blast on
else?
that.
Yeah. What else?
That I thought actually I know you said the map. Okay, we could talk about that map. Do you want to talk about the new map, the mall map?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
I agree with you that it's big, and I think it would be really, really good on like domination or hardpoint.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot of fun on that. Even kill confirm might be fun because with kill confirm you could kind of play a zone, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Team death, it was a little bit difficult. It's so big and it
Yeah.
plays like a medium sized map, but because it's so big, it it's like, does that make sense? It plays like a medium map, but it's really big.
Yeah. It's
So I have to check
cavernous
that out.
because it's 6 people.
Yeah, that's the issue. If it was 10 on 10, it would be fine. It'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But anyway, I still like it. The detail on it is crazy. Like the 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 disc store, whatever you want to call it. What am I trying to say? The audio store.
Yeah.
All those vinyls, the Radio Shack knockoff. The arcade was wicked. Like they had all those game consoles and stands, and I died a couple times because I was just looking at the details instead of playing the map. But anyway, that was a blast. I had a good time there. 2K was good. In the league, I blew a 12-point lead to the Lakers last night. But I'm not supposed to win anyway right now, so it's not that big of a deal.
You're right. It's a
And it's
work in
LeBron.
progress.
What am I going to do with? What do you do with LeBron? Like
It's LeBum.
I had Lou Dort and Darius Miller guarding him. Like, of course he had 40.
Did he really have 40?
I think he had like 32 or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
And then I played the Trailblazers and I barely beat them. I blew the lead against them too. I was also up by 12, but I managed to hold on at the end.
Yeah.
That was the Damian Lillard. Again, he had like 29. He hit like 7 threes. I mean, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Him,
It was
Steph
Dame
Curry, and
time.
LeBron, and it doesn't matter. It's always Dame. And in the game, he tells you he'll hit a three and he'll tap his wrist, and it pisses me off. Like
It's Dame time.
I don't need the AI. It's an NPCs taunting me. Like I don't need that right now.
Oh, that's good.
But anyway, I haven't gotten shit on my team either. It's been a dog shit week. Like
Yeah.
all those
All
packs
the
sucked.
Yeah, they all sucked. Anything else you've been playing?
That was about it. Me and my wife play Crash every now and then, but at this rate, we'll never beat it.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
Well, I also played NBA 2K21. I haven't done anything on my team this week. No challenges. I've just logged in to get my daily packs, rewards, whatever, and put in locker codes, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more of, I told you, I'm just more of in the mood to play our league right now.
Yeah, me too.
That we have. So, which is fine. So, played, some games with Charlotte, which I'm enjoying them. It's going about like I expected. I'm
Yeah.
I'm like 500. So
Right.
that's fine. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't make me mad when I lose because,
Right.
I'm not, the team's not great. So, but it's
Well,
fun to play with.
and not to cut you off, but two things. That video I sent you in a message last night, I accidentally uploaded it to YouTube. I did not mean to do that. So you might want to
You
delete
better
that.
watch out. Yeah, no, I'll check it out.
And then I'm like 11-5 or 12-5, and I'm not that good. Like you've looked at my thing. I have like 6 wins by like 3 points. And I've gotten so lucky, like Reddick, Damian Lillard, somebody else all missed wide open shots at the buzzer. That should have beaten me.
Yeah.
You
have had some games like that.
Yeah, I had a buzzer beater to force overtime that ended up winning. So that's 4 games that I could have easily lost, and that would make me 500. So I should be 500, and I'm sure those games will catch up with me at some point. I'll start losing them.
If I make the playoffs at all, I'll be fine with that. So I kind of don't want to though because I want a good draft pick, but it's whatever. So
right.
And then also played Black Ops, like you said, just continuing to play well on there. I think my overall KD is a little over 1.4, which is astonishing.
Right.
that's the highest it's probably been since back on like Modern Warfare 2 when it was like 1.7 or
7,
something
yeah.
like.
We were all
Yeah.
like around 2.
Yeah, we were all pretty good back then. So I'll take it. I still enjoy the game. The new weapons or the new battle pass weapons that they have seem like they're going to be fun, and
Mhm.
so I enjoy it. And then one thing we forgot to do though that we need to
Mhm.
do this weekend is prop hunt. I don't know
Mm.
how we forgot that. We didn't play
Oh.
any prop hunt, which is hilarious.
But I saw that, I haven't watched any video, but I heard a rumor that you could be a chicken. I don't know if it's true or
Oh
not.
my god!
But dear God,
Yes,
let me be a chicken.
yes. And then we also didn't try any gunfight on this one, so we need to
No.
try that too. Hopefully they bring the tournaments back. I'm sure they
Right.
will. Those are awesome. Also played Red Dead Online, just working through the new Outlaw Pass, trying to get challenges, and um, I still think my goal is just to get to finish the Outlaw Pass and then probably delete it to make room for some other stuff that's coming out in the spring.
Mhm.
Is my plan. And then I got Days Gone back, so I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I worked some magic, deleted a couple of games and have Days Gone back. So I played that a little bit, still enjoying that. And then, of course, I played a little bit of Cyberpunk. Haven't got to play a whole lot more of it this week, but I did get to progress in the story past like what basically is the prologue. And I did like the final prologue mission, and I gotta say, it sold me on the game. It was awesome. It was an awesome mission chain and just like action packed and stuff. So the game is good. It's still glitchy, and the world to me feels dead,
Mhm.
which is, I mean, you hardly see any cars, you hardly see any people. There's very few random things going on in the world, at least right now where I'm at in the game. I doubt that it changes, so that's disappointing that it's not as much. The world is not as alive as we were kind of led to believe it would be. So, which obviously we're going to have quite a bit to talk about Cyberpunk here in a second. But
Right.
it's a good game, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. And I am a little bit torn still, like I mentioned, about waiting until they do some updates and fix some things, or possibly even waiting until the PS5 update. But I don't know. I feel like it can't change that much in terms of the content itself. Is obviously is not going to, and then are the graphics going to be all that much better? I'm not sure. So
Mhm.
I'll probably just I'm going to try and like alternate back and forth between Days Gone and Cyberpunk is my plan. So we'll see how that goes because new games are just around the corner and they're going to creep up on me pretty quick with the quickness. So anyway, that's everything that I've been playing this past week. That's a lot. Oh wait, I forgot to mention I've been playing Vigor.
Oh, we played a couple boards, I forgot.
Yeah, played Vigor, which is a fun free to play game, and I enjoy it more than your typical battle royale games
I
because of
agree.
kind of the persistence with the upgrades and everything of your shelter, and then like you have your guns that you can craft, but you also get to keep whatever you find or take off
Mhm.
of people. And so you might find like a really good gun that you have no business having, and you can keep it as long as you don't die or whatever. So it's really cool. The graphics are not great, it's
Right.
they are what they are, but we are playing the PS4 version of the game, so
Mhm.
apparently they're going to give it a next gen whatever at some point in the future. But it's fun. I like it.
Right.
It's tense at times, and
Yeah, it
uh,
is. The graphics
the
look like PUBG a little bit to me.
they're just like PUBG. Yeah, that's a good comparison. So, but it's fun. It's fun to just mix it in, just something different.
Mhm.
So, anyway, with that, let's get into the news here. And it's not a very busy news week as we are winding down to the end of the year here, and a lot of studios have sent their staff home for a holiday break and things like that. So, I think it's just going to get progressively slower here these last few weeks of December. But with that said, there's still quite a bit to say about the few news items that we do have this week. So let's get into it here. Number one, easily the biggest news story of the week was the continued fallout from the disastrous launch of Cyberpunk 2077. Developer CD Projekt Red issued a public apology on Monday, writing in part, quote, First of all, we would like to start by apologizing to you for not showing the game on base last gen consoles before it premiered, and in consequence, not allowing you to make a more informed decision about your purchase. We should have paid more attention to making it play better on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, end quote. As a result, CD Projekt Red made refunds for the game widely available to those who purchased any version of the game. Players who purchased digitally can use the PSN refund system to get their money back, while physical copy owners were advised to return it to their store of purchase. Following the refund announcement, Sony began denying refunds to PlayStation users, instead urging them to wait until patches drop in January and February to fix the game, as it appeared there was no communication or agreement at all with CD Projekt Red on issuing the promised refunds at that time. Later in the week, in a conference call with investors, CD Projekt Red board member Michael Nowakowski stated astonishingly that the goal for the PS4 version of the game is for it to be, quote, be a good, playable, stable game without glitches and crashes, end quote, or in other words, how it should have launched. And finally, after a complete public relations dumpster fire surrounding the state of the game, Sony made the surprising and somewhat unprecedented announcement on Thursday night that it would be delisting Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store and issuing full refunds, with a statement on the PlayStation website stating, quote, SIE strives to ensure a high level of customer satisfaction, and we will begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via PlayStation Store and want a refund. SIE will also be removing Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store until further notice, end quote. Since the rocky launch of the game, CD Projekt Red has seen its stock price plummet, having fallen by more than 30%, costing the studio over $1 billion with a B in shareholder value. So, I know there's a lot to take in there. That was a lengthy news item there. What are your thoughts on any of this here?
Well, I got it broken down a little bit, but
Okay.
I guess to start with, I guess they should have worked more crunch, huh?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Don't kill me on Twitter. I'm joking.
Jeez, yeah.
So, well, here I'll start here. So, are you going to get the refund or what?
No, I'll just hang on to it. It'll
Okay.
be fine eventually. So,
Because I know if you get the refund, you lose the game, and people didn't understand how that worked. But
which is weird
yes,
that they don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, anyway. It doesn't matter. All right, so I'll start at I'll end with them taking it off of the PlayStation Store. That's where we'll end, and I'm going to start with kind of the beginning. So basically, what we have is a game that runs really well on PC, and it basically it's a bad port to console in a nutshell. And
Sure.
we've seen that the other way around before. Like I think Batman Arkham was a bad port from console to PC, and they actually took it down, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other
Sounds right.
examples, and we've seen this before. It's not like it's crazy. I think it's just the first time the console gamers have had to deal with it the other way around. And look, that sucks, and that's a different story. But I'll leave that there. The part that's bad about this to me is the way that CD Projekt Red handled from the start. So like from the start, I mean like once it went quote unquote gold. So what they did was,
Yeah.
and this goes back to another thing. I'm kind of all over the place right now, but like I hate when you're having a conversation with somebody or you're talking to people and you're in a meeting and they're saying things and talking about things that don't matter, that aren't the real point. And a lot of these articles I've been reading about this are focusing on something to me that isn't the point. Like what they're saying is like, oh, well, they released this console version and they knew it was glitchy and they knew it was bad. That's not the point to me. Like everybody who makes a game knows if it's glitchy or whatever or goofy. They all know that. Like when Far Cry releases a game, they know it's going to have glitches. The issue I have is they blocked all the console copies from review. So I couldn't see a console version to know what I'm investing in. And they only sent out PC codes, which we talked about last time. And the PC version is great. It's a 9, it's a 10. It's everything we were told it would be on console. It only is on PC, right? That's my issue with it. That's my first issue with this is they basically blocked us out and lied.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And I'm not playing the game. Like, I didn't buy this game. I haven't played it. I can't speak to it like you can from the gameplay perspective, but I can tell you from a business perspective, you can't do stuff like that.
Mhm.
And obviously that's why they've lost $1 billion in shareholder value. That's part of the reason. You just like, we talked a long time ago about this game has to live up to the hype after all the delays. And if it isn't a grand
Yeah.
slam, it'll be a shit show. And is it not a damn shit show right now?
That is exactly what we talked about. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. But yeah, that's exactly what it turned out to be. So it's
But to your point, you said that the game itself isn't terrible. Like the story and all that fun
yeah,
stuff is fine. It's
right.
just dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got its fun parts, it's got its polished parts, it's got its high watermarks, but you can just tell that it's not finished.
Yeah.
But then you have to ask yourself, when would it be finished?
It's so big. Yeah, that's the question. Will it ever be finished? That's a great question. I don't know if we know that.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I've got a few thoughts on it. So, first of all, the first and biggest sticking point that really started this downhill dumpster fire for CD Projekt Red is exactly what you talked about. It's the fact that they did not show reviewers what this game played like on other consoles, which it's not always unheard of. Like sometimes outlets get codes on one platform and then get it on another one later,
Sure, sure.
I feel like, but they didn't do that at all. They only gave PC. They didn't allow people to capture their own footage to include in their video reviews or
Super
whatever.
weird. Yeah.
And they did this, at least the management did this knowingly, like we discussed, to pump up their review scores
Hmm.
because at the time bonuses and things like this were based on review scores, and that's not that's not atypical of
Right.
other game studios. They do it too,
Hmm.
but they knew that the PC version was polished. They could polish the shit out of it. They had worked the most on it anyway because they build games on PC and then port them and everything else along the way. So they're like, all right, let's send out the PC. With the rest of them are dog shit, and then let's just deal with it as we go. Probably in part because they look around the industry and see all these other games that have released broken or unfinished games like Fallout 76, like No Man's Sky, almost every Bethesda game, some of these Ubisoft games, like you
Right.
mentioned, like almost every big open world game releases in a somewhat poor state these
Except for
days,
Rockstar.
except for Rockstar, yeah. And so they were like, you know what, we can deal with it as it comes. They probably never imagined that it would be this bad.
Right.
I would argue that they could have gotten away with it, possibly, if they would have just let reviewers review these things on console and see what kind of shape they're in, and they could just say, look, we're still working on stuff,
Oh
review
yeah.
it however.
Absolutely.
And then even if the PS4 and Xbox One's reviewed as a 4 or a 5, whatever, like, yeah, that's probably going to suck, but at least you were transparent, and people are still going to be pissed because it's video games and it's the internet, but it wouldn't be this bad. I really don't think it would be this bad.
Right.
However, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. They made a business decision. They made their business bed, so to speak, and now they have to lay in it.
It didn't work.
And it didn't work. So, some of my other thoughts are they have. So I guess Jason Schreier was right, even though that guy gets on my nerves so bad. I think he's kind of a prick, even to other people in media. But anyway, I guess he was somewhat right when he talked about that there are management issues and shortcomings at CD Projekt Red. I mean, that much is obvious at this point.
Yeah. Looks that way.
And yeah, and the fact that they are also communicating this so poorly, as
Yeah.
far as how, even to the point how they're communicating with Sony
Right.
and things like this, and it
They
just
haven't
seems like
even they haven't even made a statement, have they, since it got pulled from Sony or Microsoft?
they have now. Yeah, they did today. So um and it it should be it's worth noting that since we I typed this up earlier today, uh, now Best Buy has come out and said that people who want to return open copies of Cyberpunk can do so, which
Wow.
is that's unheard of. Like nobody
Yeah.
does that. No place lets you open up a video game and play it and return it for
Right.
your money
That's
back.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's
So that just
unprecedented.
it is. So that just goes to show you like how bad this has gotten. That Best Buy is letting people do that until Monday. So that's I mean, this is something else. This may end up being the biggest story in 2020 in gaming,
Right.
and it's really a shame and because of what this game could be,
Hmm.
but in another breath it also seemed inevitable because of what this game could have been
Right.
because they've worked on it for 8 years and here we are. So
Hmm.
and then it's just a couple other things that I had thoughts on was the fact that the Michael Nowakowski guy said that their goal for the PS4 version is for it to be a good, playable, stable game without glitches and crashes
Yeah.
is just
Awesome, man.
unbelievable. Like, yeah, like that the baseline
Yeah.
it should have been released as a stable
Right.
game without glitches and
Right.
crashes. But
That's number one on the list.
yeah, so whatever, that's amazing. And then I don't think it can be understated, or I don't think it can be overstated enough how significant it is that Sony has pulled the game off of the PlayStation Store,
Right.
and probably definitely at least all the way through the month of December. And then so that's going to kill them in terms of holiday sales. People who are going to get PS5s for Christmas,
Hmm.
who have been looking forward, at least the digital buyers who've been looking forward to buying the game on their new PS5, not going to be able to do it. Going to
Hmm.
have to get a physical copy, or if you have a digital console like us, you're just screwed.
Yep.
So there's that. That's going to hurt them, and it's a shame for the people working at CD Projekt Red. But the last thing I'll say is that even though this starts at the top with management and executives there, I saw an interesting point earlier today by Richard Hogue or Haig, however you say him. He's a lawyer who primarily works in the video game industry. He's pretty well known at this point, but he made a comment about how because the people were talking about how this is management's fault. This is management's fault, and how the developers said that they told management that they had deadlines that were unrealistic and they weren't going to meet them. Well, and he said, look, as a project manager, at some point you have to give a deadline and hold people to it because when are people who are making something never when are they ever going to not say we need more time?
Right. Yeah.
And that is absolutely true.
100%.
As a manager, people are always going to say, I need more time. I'm not done. We're not done. We need more. We're not going to make this. Like they're always going to say that. So at some point,
Right.
yeah, you do have to put your foot down and say, look, we've got to get this thing done by December 10th. It's got to be out the door. And they may have just made a gamble on it and thought that they were going to make the best of it. But I don't think that they, in their wildest dreams,
Hmm.
could have imagined that they would be trying to make the best of what the current situation is.
Right. And like that article that you read, you have to give creative people deadlines or they'll never stop because it's like it's
Yeah.
never good enough. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of what makes like I'm sure the guys at Rockstar are like that too. It's probably
Right.
never good enough for them, and that's why they make great games.
Right.
Um, but I'm sure again, maybe their management has a better way of communicating or a better way of outlining these types of things that doesn't let them put out terrible games.
Yeah.
But to jump on real quick, to jump off your your point about Sony taking the game down. So them taking the game off of the store is unreal. I never thought I would see something like that, and it kind of it's a big statement. So we've seen like one of the worst games I've ever seen that came out was WWE 2K. Like people
Right.
were like walking on their heads. It didn't make none of it made sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they by doing this, they basically set a standard on one hand. They're basically saying things have to be at a certain level, they just can't be here. They're not good enough, right?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So what's going to happen now? Like, what is that threshold?
That's a
That's
great
something
point.
that I think. they've opened up that can of worms, which isn't
Yeah.
necessarily a bad thing. That could be a good thing. So like I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are seeing this as a bad thing, but in the end, in 3 or 4 years, we could look back and say, hey, well, we're making these studios because of stuff like this. They're now more responsible, and that's good. We
Yeah.
want that. But
Yeah.
the
There's no
other
doubt that sorry, go
right,
ahead.
no, well, the other thing that I wondered about them taking this down was clearly there's no communication between SIE and CD Projekt Red about this. So CD Projekt Red comes out and says, "We'll give you a refund," and then SIE is like, "Wait, wait, wait, wait. At this point, part of that money is mine. So you can't just say we're giving you your money back because now you're taking my money away that I now own."
Uh-huh.
Like you have to go to them and say, "Well, yeah, we'll give you a refund," and then maybe SIE says, "We keep our profit though," right? So you can't
Hmm.
like that goes, but now that is on management. They have to listen to develop the guy that's out here coloring people and making stuff look cool. He's not talking to Sony about refunds.
Right.
That's on them for they freaked out and came out and said we'll do refunds. That's what they did. They
Yeah.
didn't talk to a soul. And like you can't do that
No.
when you're not the only person involved. Like it's just like me and you. We can't go out there and buy a Dodge Viper and not talk to our wife about it. Like
Right.
it's our money now.
Yeah. It's
So
a good. Yeah, it's a great analogy.
my point is I'm sure part of this was the game sucked, but I'm sure maybe 60% of it could have been, hey, this is my money now and you can't do this. So they've definitely set a precedent on both things, I think.
Yeah. Those are great points. And the last thing I'll say to your point is Sony, to my knowledge, has never taken down a AAA major title release from a major publisher. Okay. They didn't do it for No Man's, well, that's not a major publisher, but it was a big time title. No Man's Sky didn't do it for Fallout 76, didn't do it for, countless other games that have come out broken, but they did it for this game. Okay. So I think, like you said, that sends a message. And then number one, and then number two is I think Sony was pissed that they did exactly what you just described and were like, hey, yeah, just check with Sony and they're going to give you a refund. And Sony was like, all right, cool. Is that how you think it's going to be? Well, fuck off. We're going to take it off the store because we're not dealing with this shit. So if you're going to do that, then how about this? How about you just fix the game and you can send it back to us and we'll recertify it when it's fixed and then we'll put it back on the store. And then, so one more thing I thought about finally here is I did see a rumor today on Twitter. Of course, it's just a rumor, so take it with a big grain of salt. But apparently, in the certification process at Sony, there are publishers or developers who get a badge, basically, or a certification as a approved developer, whatever, a accepted or approved developer partner, whatever. And CD Projekt Red was one, and what that means is that they can basically get fast tracked through the certification process, basically saying that Sony trusts them to make their game work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a rumor out there today that Sony, as a part of taking their game off the store, they've revoked their approved developer certification, and now that when they recertify, they'll have to go through like full certification and not like a streamlined one.
I hope so.
I
This
don't
is great.
I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised. And if that is true, if that comes out, then that means that they just royally pissed Sony off. So
Right.
we'll see. Time will tell. What a mess, though. What a mess. Number two, scalpers may be hurting the PlayStation 5 both in the short term and the long term, it seems, as website Bloomberg reported that the number of sold PlayStation 5s that are actually not in use is quite high, meaning that they are in the hands of scalpers looking to resell for large profits. This may stifle Sony's PlayStation 5 related revenue streams in the coming years, according to an analyst who spoke to Bloomberg, who said, quote, the PlayStation 5 can miss a critical chance to get into a good hardware-software upward spiral. The peak of the platform will likely be low, and the platform's total revenue earned won't be as strong as we hoped, end quote. Because so many PS5s are in the hands of scalpers, consumers are not purchasing PS5 games, which is where the real profit is made for Sony. This low software attach rate for the console has led to one major Japanese games publisher internally discussing the possibility of delaying its PS5 games based on the early market response. In related news, according to website PlayStation Universe, U.S. retail giant Walmart revealed that it blocked over 20 million bots attempting to purchase PS5s during a November 25th restock of the console. PS5 scalping has been a lucrative hustle this launch season, as PSU also reported that nearly 33,000 PS5s were sold on U.S. retail site eBay in the month of November alone, generating an estimated $19 million in profit for sellers. So, any thoughts on this?
Well, off the jump, my immediate thought is something like this definitely happened with the PS4. So
Mm-hmm.
to say that we're going to lose this upward spiral of or this upward launch of hardware software development seems like it's a bit of posturing to me. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's that serious. Uh, okay, you know what I mean? Like they blocked 20
Yeah.
million bots. That's pretty good. So
I think it's hyperbolic. Yeah.
right. So okay. First of all, none of this is surprising to anybody. The black market is super lucrative uh,
Yeah.
with anything: consoles, guns, drugs. That's why it exists. And my favorite part about all of this is what we talked about last week. We got these heat level heists where people are stealing things from moving trucks and lorries or whatever. Like, that, see, this
Yeah.
is great. Listen, and that tells you a lot about the demand. So I go back and forth on how do you fix this? Let's just I want to jump into that real quick. Like, how do we fix the scalper issue? I don't know what you can do aside from blocking the bots, because if I legitimately go out and buy 5 and want to sell 4, you
Yeah.
can't stop me. I own
Right.
those now. I can do whatever I want with them. And
Yeah.
eBay isn't going to stop me because I own them, and then they're going to get their cut. They don't give a shit.
Right.
So to me, the
Yeah. That's
best
a good
case
point.
scenario is you block the bot.
Yeah.
And Walmart blocked 20 million. That seems like a good job. I mean, for all we know, they 100 million got in. But
Yeah.
my point is like, I don't know how you can fix this electronically, and there's not really a way you can stop it without just giving out tickets to users directly. People who already have the last gen, you could send them like off the trophy system. Like if you have a score over 500, you get right to refusal, and they send you an
Yeah.
email. But neither of us get the Sony emails consistently, so I'm sure that wouldn't work either. But I do think it's a bit of posturing. I don't know if it's that serious. I don't know if Sony really cares if they make 19 million off of being resold. I'm sure they care on some level, but they still sold those consoles in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of exaggeration too. I mean, they asked. I mean, they asked, I think they asked Sony for comment on this, and they said that look, we're still forecasting to sell 7.5 million PS5s through March, which is more than forecasted for the PS4. So I think they're going to be fine. And as far as being worried about the software attach rate, to me, that's not a huge deal. I think that's more of an effect of like the pandemic and people maybe not spending as much money in general
Yeah, that's true.
right now, and then it's going to bounce back. Like once people have those consoles in their hand, I feel like I read somewhere at some point in the past that PS4 had an attach rate of like 9 or 10, like 9 or 10 games per console is what people had. So
Right.
that's insane. So it's going to be fine. This seems like exaggeration to me, like you said, and I don't foresee it being a long term
Right.
problem.
And
So
to that attach rate, there's like 6 PS5 games that are genuinely like exclusive to the 5.
yeah,
So what do you expect? And some people have kept their 4s because it's just
yeah,
easier to have that there. They can just swap an HDMI or whatever, swap an
yeah.
input. I mean, I think that that's worth considering as well.
Yeah, in the long run, it's going to be fine. I'm not totally buying into this. So, number 3, PlayStation may have revealed a little more insight this week regarding its current approach on game development and release cadence for first party studios. In an interview with Edge Magazine, SIE president Jim Ryan said that the $70 next gen price tag is not a fixed price, stating, quote, "And once the games are made, then we'll consider what the right price to sell them at is. We don't start out with a price in mind and then tailor the game to that price point," end quote. The most interesting comments from Ryan were in reference to the variety of different projects ongoing at PlayStation Studios, saying, quote, "I think you're actually going to see some interesting variations from worldwide studios over the course of this cycle. With the PS4, we saw Uncharted Lost Legacy, for example, published in the middle of the cycle, and that worked really well at that point in time. That model can work really well. and our studios are working on all sorts of things right now. End quote. This is pretty interesting. What do you take from this?
Uh, variable pricing seems logical to me. A fixed rate puts you in a position where you're either going to overpay or underpay for a game, and the hope as a studio would be it balances out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, this kind of is like we've seen before. Like maybe they make a 10-hour solo game that has no multiplayer, right? Is that a $70 game? No, it's probably like 40. Okay,
Right.
cool. We could pump that out really quick. And this gray area in our pricing lets us have these shorter length games, or maybe these games that aren't as in depth. Maybe they're linear stories that don't have a lot of replayability. We can put those at a lower price, and then these bigger, awesome games we can put at 70 or 80 or whatever. So
Yeah.
this seems much more modern than what I would call the $60 model. This seems much more, uh, I guess, normal.
Right. I'm I think this is very interesting because I think we've talked about it before on here, but I really think that we're going to get to a point where we're getting smaller game, maybe not smaller, but shorter games from PlayStation. So instead of, 30 to 40 hour God of War and The Last of Us Part 2 and things like that, I think we might start getting these like 20-ish hour first party games that are still really high quality, but they're just short. They're just easier to make, or at least take less time to make and less money to make. Because Jim earlier in the year made those comments about how, games are expensive to make. When he was talking about price, he's like, they
Right.
cost, usually over $100 million and stuff. And I think it's also very interesting that he specifically pointed out Uncharted Lost Legacy
Hmm.
as an example for this because of two reasons. Number one, the scope of that game, that was like a 10 to 15 hour game, kind of like Miles Morales, but it was a very good game, high quality. And I think that also lines up with the fact that, the way they've been kind of subtly hinting and messaging that they want to move toward getting games out more often. They've said this in other ways before. And I think it points to, and the other thing about Uncharted Lost Legacy, him mentioning that is I think it kind of hints at that secret San Diego studio that's been rumored at making an Uncharted game in a way. Like,
Hmm.
why bring up Uncharted Lost Legacy? I mean, that is a good example, but there's also,
100.
um,
Not really.
yeah,
It's one.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. And then, but anyway, I think that that's why, you're going to be able to see a game like God of War Ragnarok come out in 3 years from the last one next year. I know people are really down right now on the belief that they think that's not going to make it in 2021. They think it's going to get delayed to 2022, which is entirely possible. But I don't know why they would have said 2021 in the middle of COVID if they didn't feel at least somewhat confident they can do it. And I think they may be going for a more streamlined experience for that game, and that
Mhm.
might be why. So I think this kind of hints at what we're going to get. I'm telling you guys, I think they're gonna bring it into a more focused experience, like 20ish hours on these games, and really start cranking them out, faster than what we're getting right now. So which is fine. That's fine. Not everybody has time to make to play 40-hour games anyway. When they can just make like a 20-hour Ghost of Tsushima game and then 6 months later add multiplayer or
Right.
whatever, make a 5-hour DLC, like whatever, like that's fine. It's perfect.
Yeah. I would say
So
that we get
anyway,
these shorter games with a few big Last of Us type 2 type narratives sprinkled in every, 3 or
yeah,
4 years.
yeah, exactly. So we'll see. Just thought that was interesting. Number 4, Electronic Arts appears to have hoodwinked fellow industry rival and mega publisher Take-Two Interactive over the acquisition of publisher-developer Codemasters. Website GameIndustry.biz reported that following Take-Two's $973 million bid to buy the racing game developer, EA threw its hat into the ring to the tune of $1.2 billion with a B. They now appear set to win the bidding war, with the new deal expected to close in early 2021. Codemasters chairman Gerhard Florin stated in a release that EA and Codemasters, quote, have a shared ambition to lead the video game racing category, end quote. Yeah, straight into microtransaction hell,
Right.
Travis.
This game's so fucked right now.
This is the worst possible news. Turn of events for Codemasters. What do you
Well,
think?
right. I wasn't excited about Take-Two getting it, just because I don't like Ronnie 2K mostly, and I was afraid of what that could turn into with racing games. I don't need a
Sure.
racing version of Ronnie. But this is worse. EA, we
Yeah.
talked about EA's killed a lot of franchises we grew up playing. Nothing
Yeah.
new there. Okay, so the only good thing I could think of is it'll be nice that some of these racing games will get some online attention. Um, some of the online things are goofy, especially with the F1 games. The way the leagues are set up, and you can, like, our league is like, you can set up a league on there, but it doesn't always work very well, and there's like weird things with the safety cars, and the rules do weird stuff, and so
Yeah.
hopefully they can fix all that, because if EA is good at anything, typically they get their online stuff to work well so they can sell stuff, and
True.
at the very least we should get a workable game online. So I can't be too upset about that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want these games to be Need for Speedy. Like, I want them to be more sim like. I don't want to lose like the dirt rallies. I want to keep a dirt rally. I
Mm-hmm.
like what Dirt 5 is. I don't want it to be like Need for Speed. I think the Need for Speeds have sucked since
Yeah.
Underground. Like, they aren't good.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the F1 games have so much potential, and they are really good. Like, people, that's the thing. People are really hard on that game, and I understand that there's stuff that's wrong with it. But all things considered, it's really not a bad game. And I'm afraid that it's going to be like, you ready for F1 Ultimate Team, and you can like get a diamond Lewis Hamilton. Like, what are we doing? Like,
Good God.
are your cars parted out? Like, you have the Mercedes rear wing, and then you have an Aston Martin front wing. Wait, your steering wheel's a McLaren. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't. So, I'm afraid of what it could turn into, this Frankenstein patchwork of whatever, of microtransactions. And we don't want that.
I'm disheartened by this. This worries me greatly. I don't like that EA is going to take these guys. So I felt much more confident with Take Two than EA, and I think everybody probably feels that way. So
Yeah.
time will tell. But hey, Codemasters, they got $300 more million out of the deal, so they're chasing the money, man. There's a lot of there's a lot more millionaires at Codemasters right about now. So, or will be in a few months anyway. So. Number 5, PlayStation announced the winners of their Game of the Year polls on the PlayStation blog on Friday. With over 2.5 million votes across all categories, here are the winners. Best Narrative went to The Last of Us Part 2. Best Use of the DualSense controller went to Astro's Playroom. Best Accessibility Features went to The Last of Us 2. Best Graphical Showcase was The Last of Us 2. Best Art Direction went to Ghost of Tsushima. Best Soundtrack and Best Sound Design went to The Last of Us Part 2. Best Multiplayer was Call of Duty Warzone. Best Sports Game was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Best New Character was Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Best Indie Game was Fall Guys. Gaming Moment of the Year was The Last of Us Part 2's Final Showdown. Best PSVR Experience was Star Wars Squadrons. PS4 Overall Game of the Year was The Last of Us Part 2. PS5 Game of the Year was Spider-Man Miles Morales. The most anticipated game was the new God of War Ragnarok. And the Studio of the Year was none other than Naughty Dog. So, any thoughts on these winners here?
Well, to jump off, I think it's interesting that The Last of Us 2 won Best Narrative. Isn't that
Yeah,
narrative dark?
it is very dark.
So it's interesting.
Mhm.
I
This is the
guess,
one that people bitched about when it got leaked, by the way.
right, and then it wins Best Narrative by a fan vote, not like
Right.
not like reviewing experts, quote unquote. So that's
Mhm.
very interesting to me. And we said that when the game came out. Give it 5 or 6 months and see what people are saying, because it's like we were
Right.
getting all this bitching and moaning, and on the other hand, we were getting all this praise. It's like these people are
Mhm.
just yelling because she's not like she's a cisgendered male. That's or a female. That's the problem. Anyway, doesn't matter. Um, Best use of the DualSense. There's not another option. Like, that's the
No.
only option, especially
Yeah, that's.
since 2K broke your controller.
Oh, man. I'm so glad you said that. Totally forgot about that. So glad you said that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2K, Astros Playroom definitely deserves best use of the DualSense by far. Also, 2K NBA 2K21 did break my DualSense controller. It killed my right trigger. So it got to the point just really quickly where there was no tension in the right trigger. Even when the controller, the console was off, like it was just dead. Like it was so bad. I thought I was losing it, and then I was playing Red Dead, and like normally, you rest your fingers on the triggers, so you're ready to go. And I was playing Red Dead, and then I would just randomly like fire off like 3 or 4 rounds from my revolver because my like it would just fall in because I'm just resting
Uh,
I was like, what is this shit? So I troubleshooted it. There's a reset button on the controller and whatnot. And I mentioned to you guys before that I was hearing this weird clicking noise when I would play 2K coming from inside the controller, like in weird places. And I didn't hear it on any other game. Well, lo and behold, 2K broke my trigger. So I've since turned off the adaptive trigger stuff in 2K. I sent my controller to Sony. They're going to repair it. They're actually like I sent it out Tuesday. They got it Wednesday. They emailed me today and said it's on the way back. So
awesome.
that's fast enough. But anyway, don't trust 2K with your triggers, guys. So
Uh, and a
anyway,
couple of
any other thoughts here on the
right.
winners?
Well, the best sports game. I'm glad it's Tony Hawk. That one, it's well deserved, but two,
Tony Cock.
it's it's nice that Tony Hawk finally beats. Like we don't need one of these
Yeah, he
seasonal
beats.
games to win. Like I'm happy Tony Hawk won.
Yeah.
What is accessibility features mean? I don't understand.
So like people who have disabilities, like they're colorblind or
Oh, perfect.
they
Great.
have like limited and they have like
Hmm.
limited use of their hands and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So The
Cool.
Last of Us had all kinds of stuff that you could adjust for, everybody to be able to play it.
Great. Now I'm an asshole because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's it though. The studio of the year, it had to be Naughty Dog or Sucker Punch.
Hmm.
That was it. Definitely wasn't CD Projekt Red. Tell you that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty cool. We know Star Wars Squadron is apparently just a world
Well,
beater on VR.
whatever.
So
It's yeah, okay. Well, I'm
good for it.
wrong. I'm wrong on that one, guys. So, I'm really not surprised by The Last of Us raking in. It was
No.
well deserved, obviously. Like I said, Astros definitely deserved the best use of the DualSense. I'm glad that Ghost of Tsushima got art direction. That's just such a cool, unique looking game, like we talked about last week. And then a little surprise on Call of Duty Warzone getting best multiplayer. Not that it
Right.
doesn't deserve it. Not that it doesn't deserve it, but it just there's a lot of heavy hitters for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, uh, I I approve of Miles Morales as best new character,
Hmm.
and that's really all I got to say. Most anticipated game, God of War Ragnarok makes sense. I
Fair
vote
enough.
so I voted for Elder Scrolls 6, by the way.
Yeah,
Out
but
of
you're always going to do that. That's out of principle for you.
It's out of principle, but also because I wanted to see if it would win and if they would like run with it. Like, would
Yeah.
they like? I mean, because
Start talking about
look
it.
look at it this way: like, if it wins most anticipated game for in a PlayStation fan vote, and then Microsoft turns around in a year and says, "Hey, by the way, that you guys aren't going to get to play that shit. Like, kiss our ass." Like, they're like that seems like just it would be a terrible business decision if you just go out and take the most anticipated game on a PlayStation platform off of that platform. Like
Mhm.
you're just shitting on money. You're just throwing it away. So I just was curious about that. But anyway, so good list there. All 100% fan vote. The people have spoken. Number 6, we have several news nuggets here as well, Travis, that we'll run through. Feel free to jump in. First nugget here, website Push Square reported that spoilers, including the ending of the game for the upcoming Resident Evil Village, have been posted online, so tread carefully.
I'm going to ruin it for everybody. Are you ready? It's
Don't
scary
you
and the
dare.
village is evil.
Perfect. Spoiler
Nailed it.
alert. Also, Push Square reported that developer Insomniac Games updated Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered to add the 60 frames per second in ray tracing graphical mode on PS5, so they've already done it. That developer V Blank Entertainment released their top-down GTA knockoff, Shakedown Hawaii, natively on the PS5 this week. The game will be free to owners of any other version of the game, and it will feature a new trophy list, including a platinum for the very first time, which has been much requested. And it will also utilize the DualSense's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, as well as the PS5 activity cards. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it definitely hits you in the nostalgic gut when you look at gameplay of it.
Yeah, it looks like those old, like the original
Right.
GTA. Looks.
The
I own it. I just haven't played it.
That's the only game my mom ever took from me was the like GTA 2 with the top down.
Really,
Yeah, I
really.
rented it and I showed my grandpa. I was like, "Look at this game." I was like, "It's wild because you can like do whatever you want." And I was like shooting people and taking cars.
Yeah.
She took
Did
the
you ever
game and
play?
she took it back.
Did you ever play the one that was in London? It was like the there was the one that was in America,
Right.
Grand Theft Auto, and then there was one that was like Grand Theft Auto London or
Yeah,
whatever.
I remember the box art. I can't remember. Could you do payphones on both of them?
I feel like yeah, you
Oh,
could.
okay, never mind. I remember doing
Both
payphones and I remember stealing cars. I don't remember which one it was.
both were hilarious, by the way. So anyway, great games. Also, Push Square reported that update 2.0 for Dirt 5 is now available. The new update fixes a wealth of glitches, including missing trophies on PS5, and it also adds wheel support.
Yeah, see, those are okay things that can be launched without that you can fix.
Absolutely. It's acceptable. I'll allow it. Push Square also reported that Assassin's Creed Valhalla update 1.01 is also now available, and it fixes a number of bugs and adds the Yule Festival event. Also, that a recent Assassin's Creed Valhalla update added support for the DualSense controller's adaptive triggers, which is cool. Push Square also reported that developer Saber Interactive has added PS4 mod support for off-road simulator SnowRunner, which is interesting. That puzzle game Humanity has been delayed to 2021. That Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War multiplayer will be free to play between December 17th and 24th, with various game modes cycling in and out of free availability.
Sounds like a good time to boost our KDs.
That's right, we kill these noobs. Also, that Sackboy: A Big Adventure received its online multiplayer update this week, as well as crossplay and save transfers between PS4 and PS5. That streaming service HBO Max is now available on the PlayStation 5, and that developer Sucker Punch Productions has added matchmaking support for Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer, including support for raids. Cool. Why can they do it and nobody else can? Destiny and all this other shit. Whatever. That just made me mad. Just randomly made me mad. Anyway, Sucker Punch also announced that from now until January 15th, players can unlock multiplayer outfits inspired by iconic PlayStation characters from God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Shadow of the Colossus, and Bloodborne. It's pretty
That's
cool.
that's back to back really cool things by Sucker Punch.
Yeah, they're killing it, man. They're doing way better than CD Projekt. Website PlayStation Universe reported that VentureBeat writer and industry insider Jeff Grubb stated recently that players won't be waiting much longer on a new update on the highly anticipated Elden Ring from developer From Software. That publisher Koei Tecmo recently filed a new trademark for Ninja Gaiden pertaining to, quote, consumer video game programs. PlayStation Universe also reported that Sony is preparing to launch PlayStation Direct in Europe. For the unaware, PlayStation Direct is a storefront that allows you to purchase PlayStation products directly from Sony. It's currently only available in the US. That Destruction All Stars developer Lucid Games is hiring a narrative designer for a new AAA game project. So, their next project. It's interesting. PlayStation Universe also reported that Arc 2,
The Return of
which was
Noah.
which was revealed at the Game Awards, will not release on PS5 before 2022 due to a 1-year exclusivity deal with Xbox. So Xbox is cool when they do it, but they think it's against, consumers when PlayStation does it. Got it. PlayStation Universe also reported that Spider-Man Remastered is now available as a standalone purchase on the PlayStation Store, so long as you don't already own the original PS4 version. That Doom Eternal will get invasion mode, a new battle mode maps, and more in 2021. And that Crazy Taxi spiritual successor Taxi Chaos is coming to PS4 on February 23rd.
I can't decide if that's cool or not, but I will say we're slowly turning into Hollywood with these remakes.
Yeah. Let's see here. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that the Game Awards 2020 had an unbelievable 83 million total viewers, an 83% increase over 2019's 45.2 million views. Wow. Website Gamatsu reported that action RPG Grand Blue Fantasy Relink has added a PS5 version for release alongside the PS4 version in 2022. That roguelite 2D platformer Skull the Hero Slayer will release on PS4 in early 2021. That the highly anticipated Super Meat Boy Forever
Mhm.
Forever will launch on PS4 sometime in January. I'm not exaggerating. That's highly anticipated, just not by me and you.
By who? Super Meat
Uh,
Boy. Somebody, somebody with an OnlyFans?
Gamatsu also reported that SNK has teased a brand new console coming from them in 2021. Don't know what that means. That hand drawn beat 'em up hack and slash roguelike co op game Tunchi will
Which
release
one
on
is it?
PS. It's all of them.
First of all,
Will release
Tunchi's Lil Wayne. Okay.
Tunchi da Lil Wayne will release on PS4 sometime next year. Gamatsu also reported that action platformer Cyber Shadow from Yacht Club Games will launch on PS4 on January 26th. That arcade space shooter Redout Space Assault will launch on PS4 on January 22nd. That slice of life camping game Cozy Grove, which I'm pretty sure are the same people who just hacked almost all of the United States. No, that's Cozy Bear. I'm sorry. That slice of life camping game Cozy Grove has been announced for PS4 and will launch in the first half of 2021.
What's a slice of life? What is that?
That so I looked at the trailer for that. This is Animal Crossing. This is
Ah,
Animal. This is Animal Crossing. Is what this is.
okay.
So if you're
Sli-
interested in that type of game, this is it.
Slice of Life is the name of Dexter's boat on Dexter.
Ah, dog shit show.
You're dog shit.
Gamatsu also reported that virtual reality puzzle platformer Jupiter Grad will come to
Mhm.
PSVR in early 2021. That co-op action adventure game Conan Chop Chop has been delayed to early 2021. That Terminator Resistance will receive an enhanced version for PS5, which will release on March 26th. That's cool because I didn't even know it existed on PS4. Gematsu also reported that choice-based narrative adventure game Where the Heart Leads has been delayed to Q2 of 2021. That adventure exploration game Olegia from publisher Devolver Digital will launch on PS4 on January 28th. That Japanese action game Zhuan Yuan Sword 7 will
Mhm.
come to Western PS4s in February of 2021. And finally, that Control Ultimate Edition will come digitally to the PS5 on February 2nd, with physical copies releasing on March 2nd. The game will feature a 60 frames per second performance mode and a 30 frames per second mode with ray traced graphics. Interesting. It looks. I saw a little short clip of it. It looked pretty impressive what they've done, but not going to buy the game again. So, and that is all for the news this week. And it's time to get into the new game releases here, and I'll kick it over to Travis.
On December the 14th, we have My Hidden Things, which is another easy platinum. I think you can beat that game in about 30 or 40 minutes.
Hmm.
On the 15th, we have Bridge Constructor, The Walking Dead for the 10th time. Folia, Dear Father, which is it's just a weird survivor game. I don't even know what to make of it.
Hmm.
Following that, we have Freddy Spaghetti,
Great
where
name.
you're a piece of spaghetti, and
Okay.
I think it would be really cool if you're on LSD or shrooms or something. I couldn't get over how weird it was. Following that, we have Round Out by Pogi.
Hmm.
Round Out by Pogi. Tried to find it, couldn't find
Roadhouse.
anything.
Yeah.
Final, and then finally on the 15th, we have Shakedown Hawaii, which is out of everything that came out this last week, this is about the only thing that looks like it's worth playing. Everything else looks passable. On the 16th, we have MXGP 2020, which will be a fun free game. We have Sparkle Unleashed, Wizards of Brandle.
Hmm.
On the 17th, we have Auto Chess Founders Pack, which is it's not directly like chess, like it is a move by move game, but each of your pieces have different powers.
Hmm.
So it's not like it is like chess, but like your powers are more important than where you are on the board, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Also on the 17th, we have Coil's Treasure, and then we have When the Past Was Around, and that's all.
Sweet. Sweet. That's it. It's all for the new game releases this week. Even the game releases are slowing down as they typically do this time of the year. So, Travis, let's begin to close out the episode here. Wanted to discuss briefly here our 2020 game of the year.
Mhm.
So why don't you start? Why don't you hit me with what your game of the year is? Your personal game of the year.
Well, it's difficult to say, because on one hand, I think, well, they're both pretty technically advanced. Um, hmm, 'Cause I wrote down A and B. I don't wanna give you 2 answers, so I'm trying to decide, make myself decide right now.
Well,
Um,
you need to have played it. This is your personal game of the year.
yeah, and that's the thing. So both I have a platinum on both of these.
Oh, okay.
So the issue is which one I guess my favorite's Ghost of Tsushima because I think it had the most impact. Like, the other one was Astro's Playroom because I think it
Hmm.
technically blew me away, like,
Okay.
and the levels were fun, and I
Hmm.
really enjoyed getting all the collectibles and stuff, but Ghost of Tsushima was different. Like, the story really I thought the story was really interesting. It didn't feel overbearing in the story. The side quest I did didn't make me bored, which a lot of side quests do. Like, even on and there are some that were just like, "What am I doing?" But I hate like that's one of the things that like discourages me from playing Skyrim is like you go into a village to do something and then you spend 17 hours on a quest trying to make porridge or something. Like, I don't want to do that.
Sure.
But even going back and getting all the collectibles, I thought was a lot of fun. I like the limitedness of the HUD. I like the way the gameplay felt. The combat
Hmm.
was so much fun. I couldn't find anything I didn't like about it. The issue I had with it was I found myself trying to play too fast. Like, I really, really wanted to solve the game. Like, I wanted to beat it, and that was my issue with it. Was that like I do that with every game though. Like, once I get rolling and I have a chance to beat it, if I'm playing like a campaign or a story game, I did the
Yeah.
same thing with Astros. I have to like tell myself to like enjoy it. Um, but all of it was
Sure.
cool. There's certain characters that I found like I thought the warrior monk was super interesting.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I really I didn't like, your uncle that you have in the game. I did not like him at all, and that to
Yeah.
me, he was a borderline between, like, he was kind of a villain in a way to me, um, in the way that I played the game, so, whatever, I liked that I could play stealthy, I could play loud. I liked all those things, so, then I haven't even talked about the graphics and the music and the art direction. All of that stuff was bananas. And I've heard people say the story maybe wasn't great at times. Maybe it's a little lacked a little bit. Sure, I get that,
Yeah.
but the black and white mode that was an ode to the old samurai movies was awesome. And probably
Yeah.
my favorite thing was like I thought it was crazy how the combat was so close to what you would see in those old samurai movies. Like, the way the camera would kind of fade out and it was like really quick and jolty and everything was like so dramatic, like the moves you'd make. And I don't know, I'm rambling, but that was my game of the year just because it gave me it was a game I thought about when I wasn't playing in a way that very few games have given me. Maybe Red Dead, both Red Dead.
Mhm.
The GTA's get me like that. It was just you know it was a masterpiece. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. I know what you're gonna pick, um, and you're wrong. It's okay.
Ghost of Tsushima is a very well deserved game. It's deserving of it. It's your personal game of the year. I understand.
And plus I got a
But
platinum, so it's like
you
that
did.
was a big achievement.
You did. But my personal game of the year is The Last of Us Part 2,
Got everybody's booing.
and it's not even close. It
Oh,
I have
that's uncalled for.
it's you haven't even played it. You can't say that. So anyway, it is a masterpiece, as you said, and it's it's an excellent game all the way around. It does things that you will not see in any other game. The animation, the gameplay, the grittiness, the violence, um, it's all tied together in a way that is so believable and it's so impressive, and it just constantly is impressing you with its design and how everything is executed and just the way things look. And Naughty Dog and Rockstar just they're at the very tip top
Mhm.
of the game. So there's just no doubt about that. And I actually didn't mind the story. I thought the story was very good. excellent. My only complaint, if you'll remember when I talked about it earlier in the summer, my only real two complaints about it, if you want to say that, are I thought it was a little bit too long. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it could stand to be just a little bit shorter, kind of dragged just a little bit. And then the other thing is, at the time, I ran into a couple of visual glitches, or maybe it was audio, but nothing serious, but just something that is not typical of Naughty Dog. So that's
Right.
really it. That's really only the only two bad things I can say about it. And if they whenever they come out with the multiplayer, I definitely want to try that part out as well. But I
Mm-hmm.
I can't say enough good things about it. It's a must play game for anyone who owns a PS4. It's a masterclass in
Mm-hmm.
video game design and in a lot of ways. So I can't recommend it enough. But
Right. I think the thing about both of our picks are they pull you in holistically within the game. It's not just this narrative, but it's the fluidity of the gameplay.
yeah,
It's the ambiance. It's the art direction. It's the narrative. Even the characters, you develop like this kinship with the main characters. Um,
hmm
I think that's a hallmark of any game that you see that's in contention for a game of the year.
yeah,
It's like a labor of love, but you can see it. It's like watching a really good movie that you can play the characters.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Travis, let's begin to wrap it up here and close out the show. Talk to me about what you are going to be playing in the week ahead here.
By the time you hear this, our final race of UNF1 will be over that I'm commentating for.
Hmm.
We have three guys that could win a championship. They're separated by 16 points at the top. So there's a couple scenarios where we could have a tie, and then we need a tiebreaker, which would be really cool. The guy that's in the lead right now is Freddie. He's my F2 teammate. So good luck to Freddie. Shout out to Freddie. On Sunday, we have our F2 race at Hungary, I think. I've only done a couple laps. I haven't really trained on it very much. I think I'm a couple seconds off the fastest guy in the league right now, but I haven't played with my setup either, so that'll at least get me half of that time. So if you want to watch that, we'll be racing at 2 o'clock. If you listen to this Sunday morning, we'll be racing at 2 o'clock. You can find us on the YouTubes, and um, I'll stream my race from my perspective on our the DualSense YouTube account. You can find the link on Twitter probably around 2:30. We always have server issues at the beginning. But anyway, other than that, I'm ready to play some prop game. That'll be fun. Do some gunfights. I'm starting my journey on the AK-74U.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've maxed out. I've level maxed out the AK. I'm
Wow.
like half. I don't know what I am. I think I'm like level 30 on the RPD. So I'll probably end up maxing that out by the time that the season ends. So I think I need a new gun to move on to. That one, AK-47U, 74U, seems like a good one. So I'll probably be grinding on that. And other than that, there's a GT Sport race on Wednesday. I don't remember where we are, but I will stream that too on the DualSense YouTube page. Hopefully, I will not run out of gas, but no promises. And I looked yesterday. I'm number one in the state this year on GT Sport. I'm number
Not a babe.
50 for Lexus drivers in all of the Americas, and I'm
Nice.
777 overall. So I could definitely be top 5 in Lexus drivers if I make every race, but I think I'm going to miss one. I'll probably miss the one the day after Christmas. It just seems odd to race the day after Christmas. It just seems like I shouldn't do that. But
I
yeah,
hear you.
that's about it. I'm going to work on our league too. Got to play the Lakers again. I don't want to, so I've been putting that off. It's just so
Mm.
exhausting. They're so exhausting. And anyway, like you said, I looked at the draft board last night. My projected pick is 8 because I own the Heat's pick, and the Heat are not playing very well on our game for some reason. So
Oh, I wish I had
uh,
another pick.
there's a center that I really really like out of Kentucky that I really want. He would start for me day one, like no question he would start, even though he's
Yeah.
worse than Al Horford. But the odds of me getting him are slim to none.
Sure. I have no idea. I've messed up royally, by the way, because I've decided that I'm not going to draft a center. I don't think, and all I scouted were centers. So that'll be
Well, that's
interesting.
okay. So
I'll have to take
yeah,
a flyer.
I scouted a couple of wings. I can I can shoot you their stuff. It's not a big deal. I don't care.
Cool. Well, I'm going to be playing quite a bit. Hopefully, NBA 2K, of course, and our online league. Red Dead for challenges. Still working my way through the Outlaw Pass. Black Ops, of course. Continuing to crush on there. Want to mix in gunfight and prop hunt as well. And then I'm going to mix in some vigor just here and there. I enjoy
Right.
that.
I'd like
And
to kill
then
somebody on Vigor. That's really my main goal for next week is to get one kill.
yeah, maybe try it in first person when you aim down the sights.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that.
That seems to be a lot easier. And then I'm going to go back and forth between Days Gone and Cyberpunk when I can. I don't know how that's probably not efficient at all, but I plan to play Cyberpunk for a long time, and then Days Gone, I just want to play through it and beat it, and that's kind of it. So anyway, that's pretty much everything, which is quite a bit to play for me. But I'm on vacation for the next couple weeks. I do have some projects I got to do around the house for the wife, unfortunately, but hopefully I'll have some time to play as well. So I think that's it. If you guys enjoyed the show, again, don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. We post new episodes every week covering all the PlayStation news in less than 90 minutes. Also, if you would be so kind as to leave us a review. And finally, and most importantly, if you would be willing to share us with a friend who you think may enjoy a PlayStation podcast, then please do so. And we would be very thankful. And if you do that, why not hit us up on the Twitter at the DualSense Pod? We'd be more than welcome to engage and talk with you over there.
Yeah, let us know if you think old people are worth keeping around.
Yeah, just do we need to inoculate the world of old people? So sterilize, I should say. Anyway, and then finally, as Travis mentioned, if you want to see some streams or clips from us playing, you can do that on YouTube at the DualSense Podcast. So that said, we'll get out of here. You guys take care, and we will talk at you next week with a very special episode. See ya.